I mentioned in my previous video that introverts and highly sensitive people might be more susceptible to unhappiness because we can become disconnected from ourselves. In a world that values more traditionally extroverted qualities, it can become easy to dislike those naturally introverted parts of yourself. It's quite easy to see how it might be the case that introverts and sensitive types might end up resenting their temperaments and disliking themselves. So what's the answer? A lot of online communities have emerged over the past few years aimed at reassuring us that it's okay to be introverts. It's okay to be highly sensitive people. They're full of encouraging memes and videos and listicles which reinforce this message and build on this sense of support, which tells us that there are millions, if not billions, of others just like us. There's something really heartwarming I find about seeing other people experience that aha moment about who they are when they realise that they're not weird, that they are an introvert and they experience that for the first time. However, there's a danger we get stuck here, and it soon becomes apparent that the unhappiness emanating from the disconnect between our true selves and our desired selves, as demanded by what we think the world wants us to be, what we need to be, that's alien to us as introverts, that unhappiness is not actually extinguished. There's still a sense of disconnect and resentment which might become channeled through things like tribalism, through a binary view of the world, us versus them, good versus bad, introvert versus extrovert, etc. And rather than developing a sense of freedom, it actually turns us into a different kind of isolation, a different kind of fragmentation. This happens when self-awareness and identity become attached to the idea of self and fixates on how others see us, rather than as a foundation for transforming how we see others and how we understand ourselves in the context of a broader and a wider kind of whole. We become drawn to proving that introversion is better than extroversion, or righting the perceived wrongs that have occurred through years of being misunderstood and undervalued. We point fingers. We become preoccupied with what others think of us, what they owe us, and how they need to act around us, rather than using self-awareness to free ourselves, to better understand how we can contribute the best of ourselves to the world around us and to make the world a better place. This is not a road to joy. It's not a route to tranquility, and it's not the path that you would want to take if you're serious about thriving as a gentle rebel, as an introvert, as a highly sensitive person. The somewhat counterintuitive truth is that joy comes from the feeling of contribution to a community, to other people around us. Feeling like you can give something of who you really are to the world, and to do so without actually caring what other people think. For example, I don't know about you, but I feel much better in myself in the long run after a day of volunteering on a meaningful project than I do after, say, a day of shopping, buying stuff for myself. Or the feeling of seeing someone react with genuine joy when I give them a gift is deeper and it's longer lasting than the pleasure I might experience from opening a gift that's been given to me. There's something within us that finds great purpose and great joy and happiness in giving more than it does in taking. And this underpins the lie that modern society often peddles, which keeps us disconnected from ourselves, disconnected from one another. We think that we're entitled to everything we want, that we deserve things like happiness, and we have a right to be loved, to be heard. It's the fault of other people when we don't feel free or happy, and it's our right to take as much as we want until we do find happiness. So we feed that black hole, that abyss with more and more emptiness. In the book, The Courage to be Disliked, Kishimi and Koga say that contribution is freedom. I believe that the ultimate contribution that we can make as individuals is rebellion. And the ultimate act of rebellion that we can undertake are things like self-acceptance. Society requires us to be unaccepting of who we are. We need to always believe that we should be and that we must be more. We must be better. Manufactured dissatisfaction, aka advertising, drives the unhappiness that feeds the machine of perpetual growth, and it needs us to indulge that. Secondly, confidence in others. Society teaches us to use others or to see others as competition and to be untrusting until they've earned our approval. Contribution to others. Society reinforces the idea that we have a right to take what we deserve. Happiness, success, pleasure, regardless of the cost to the world, to others, and ironically to ourselves. The values of society are skewed to make us miserable. There's a lot less profit to be made from tranquil, joyful people who are grateful for what they have and aware of the difference between needs and insatiable desires. Yet if we want to be happy, we need to seriously question those assumptions. We need to become self-aware. We need to understand how these destructive messages that we've been brought up believing about ourselves, about one another, about the way the world works, we need to know, to understand how they are influencing us. Self-awareness in this sense stretches deeper than our basic understanding of being an introvert, being a highly sensitive person. It becomes a holistic understanding of who we are in the wider context of the community, the broader community, and the part that we can play in transforming the world from the inside out.